Oh, the mayor's sitting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sit there and then.
Take my seat, I'll sit in front.
Well, I was gonna
I'll sit in front.
Here we go.
Yes,
And just, you know, it's different.
okay.
Sit in the crowd, yeah. Get your back to the
The exemption
camera.
applies to his library.
It's a very smart
county
seat.
service, And for as far as that, it doesn't, that's not a big deal.
I'll call the county and see.
Good.
I know.
All right.
Okay. All right, so you're not gonna do that.
Paperless with the iPad, but there's no Wi-Fi, huh?
One of them.
No.
All right, I'll get going with roll call. Cam Hall? Here. Bob Hutchison is here. Janet, she may be on her way. Mayor Moses. Chairman Palmer is excused. David Pekulski. Here. Robert Reynolds.
Here.
Norma is excused, and Glenn Valentine.
Here.
Here. Okay, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion to open the November 17th, 2021 Hamburg Industrial Development Agency Board of Directors meeting at 7:32 a.m. So move.
Second.
Thank you, thank you. Without objection, we'll open the meeting. Motion to approve the minutes from the October 20th, 2021 Board of Directors meeting. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the meeting? I have a motion to approve. Motion, I wasn't there, so I can't make. So moved. Mayor,
I'll second that.
that was Ken.
That was me.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Mr. Reynolds, would you like to talk to the
Yeah.
financial report?
The financial reports, I just want to report a couple things out. We had income of $22,375.54 in the month of October. We had some additional expenses for public hearing was $970 for a public hearing now, and sponsorship of $100. So our total expenses were $12,407.06. So our net income over expenses is $9,968.48. When you add that all up and put it in our account, total assets right now is $1,015,710.82. Motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Second. Lance, thank you, Bob. All in favor?
One question.
Oh, yes, sir.
Why do we gotta pay for a public hearing? What is that?
The public hearing charges are related to the public hearing notice.
Mhm.
So I
Okay.
believe in that, they're about $360 each now. So, yeah, honestly, that generally flew under the radar. We were using the Blaisdell Loco on the front page, and it was about half the price. So now to publish in the Sun, it's a little bit more substantial. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Sorry. I don't know if you voted on that. Okay. Lost my agenda here. The next item is to appoint acting director, Town of Hamburg acting director of finance, Kimberly Sasana, the chief financial officer for the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency. So moved. Thank you, Bob.
Under the question, is she an employee of the town?
Yeah, so she is, right now, she was, assistant to the director of finance. With the changes in the department, she's now interim director. They have the status, with filling that position, is they have received applications, so they're, in the midst of filling that position. I don't know if she's a candidate or not, but we've looked to Our accounting firm, which is Allied Financial, which does our annual audits for the last several years, they cannot be appointed as CFO due to the conflict of interest with them doing the accounting. And then we've reached out to another municipal accounting type firm, Drescher and Malecki, and they kind of pointed us back to the town to have him do it just because they're not as intimately involved with our operations. And they feel there's just not the communication, so they took a pass on it. So then we went back to him as our option.
So we got a second?
I'll second.
1 second.
Just make sure.
Okay, did you have an additional question?
No, I mean, it's always been that way, always kept everything with it.
Okay.
Is there still an investigation going on in that office?
Oh, yeah.
Most of it.
There is there is a state controller investigation reviewing the financials in that office. Just so you know, another layer, so Kim reviewed I would say the largest item is my personal expense report. I mean, right, Mary? I mean, other than payroll, there's really not a lot that goes out. We don't have a company credit card. So there's no, if I incur an expense, say for instance, typically it's a conference or a meeting or the coursework, which are the largest expenses, those will go on my personal charge. And then I'll submit the receipts with a monthly report and mileage, my cell phone expense. And then that goes to Kim for approval with the check, and then also Amy Palmer pieces as well.
Right.
So there's a couple levels of control there.
We get all the bank, sorry, Mary, all the bank, that's a key part of all the banking, and everything comes through also the checking.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Welcome, Janet.
Hello.
We're just getting into my update. Jennifer, did you want to talk ahead and note here in terms of some of the open meeting law changes?
Yes. I do have
To the board, please.
The law takes effect, today's Wednesday, tomorrow. The governor has changed the open meetings law. Previously, the open meetings law said, to the extent practicable, you have to have your meeting packages available online and in paper, should someone request in paper. The law now requires that you have your meeting packages available, posted on your website and available in print copy, no less than 24 hours before your meeting. So any item that's going to be discussed at any of your meetings, and this applies to the IDA and to the LDC, you have to have posted on the website. So all the resolutions, applications, everything has to be available. And we post most everything on the website pursuant to other laws anyway.
Does that restrict us from bringing up something under new business that day?
No, if something happens that has to be addressed, you can certainly bring it up. I would make sure, like we always do, that you have copies available for any public to review.
Correct.
I mean, things are going to happen,
We
they
can still
have
do it,
to.
yeah, I mean.
Isn't that the wording to the extent
No.
practicable?
That law has changed. As of tomorrow,
Okay.
extent practical is deleted. It is a requirement.
Because we were looking at this in the school board, they kept the extent practical, but took out that the agency is the one that determines it, so it's
Right.
subjective or whatever, so, but to your point, if there's an ability to put it on 24 hours, you have to do it.
Correct.
If it's there,
Correct.
but to your point, if you want to bring up
Yeah, we
something
got a
else.
personnel matter or something like that,
Absolutely.
right? You
Yeah.
And a personnel matter would be an executive session anyway.
Yeah, but you might
And
want
not-
to act on the executive session that day on personnel matters.
Right.
I'm
There are
just
things that
using
are going to
an
happen that you can't possibly have available 24 hours.
I mean, it's not stopping us at everything 24 hours, this is it, okay.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. Not for a board coming together.
Yeah.
But most items you do have ahead of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have a cutoff date, everything. There is a cutoff date for
Correct.
any
Right.
resolution.
Right, right.
That's all public knowledge as well.
So, yeah, everything's, I mean, really the change for operationally on our side, assuming the agenda would not change, is just meetings, the meeting packet that Mary sends out to the board, generally around that time when she sends it out to the board, she would upload it to the website.
Right, so you're in compliance already. And it does, if you're going to talk about contract negotiations or something else in executive session, you do not have to disclose that. That it doesn't apply to anything that is legally allowed in executive session.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so, and then an update, as long as Jennifer, do you have an update on E1? I was thinking about that this week. I know it's kind of gone back and forth, and this is on project closings.
Their attorney said he's working on it.
Okay. So several reminders, December 17th is the key date for E1. Their extension resolution expires at that time. 290 Lake Street, we've extended, so they have some time. Key Energy, we have a resolution to the table today, which will assist in that closing, if the board would approve that. And then the last one is 17 Long, which Jennifer and I have been working on. They're looking to close on their financing, so we've been trying to work with them to get that to close. Palace Theater, I followed up with Mr. Ruhoff. He's waiting on the state reimbursement. I spoke with him on Monday. He can, that loan will begin to accrue interest, so I sent him a reminder again, December 23rd. So
He may want to stay on that. We submitted for reimbursement on one of those grants last December. And yesterday I got an email saying, oh, we need you to change the paperwork. And
oh,
we
wow.
still,
Okay.
they're not real quick.
Yeah, I will, you know what, I'll talk to his architect, I think, who is doing the and then the other item on financials, we had tabled the CD rates, and I had met with Wentz and his financial, his treasurer, with his organization. We've been monitoring this for a couple of months. I would say between the two organizations, the IDA and the Land Corp, we probably would have the capabilities to restrict funds in the amount of $500,000 per organization in the next 12 months. So I'm going to look at, it doesn't seem like the markets are changing one way or another. But if we don't have initial plans for those finances in the next 12 months, maybe, I think I will go back to the market and propose, review with at least the audit committee, what the rates are. And maybe we take a look at this again, and just to say, it might be the difference of $600 for the year, positive. But if we have no immediate plans, maybe we take it. In terms of, Mary reached out to Bank on Buffalo yesterday, so that's just one entity. And I don't believe they were the most lucrative entity for the CD rates when we looked last time, but there's basis points, like 10 basis points difference between the CDs and then the savings. But and talking to Wentz and his treasurer, we can look into some other ones, some credit unions, and they'll have a little bit higher rates. I think they'll be a little bit more competitive for the money. So I'm going to review that in December, most likely. Project activity. We've been working with a couple local developers. You've seen there's been some activity on South Park and Souls. I saw that in the news, and I know they've had some changes in terms of who their point person and developer is on that, but that seems to be moving forward, along with some great news on the progress of Hilbert College. Advocacy and legislation. You saw the text this week that was a huge win for Pitch Hamburg for the ARPA funding, and Janet, thank you again for that nudge to look into that a little bit. That was a huge windfall for that organization. We're really, it's that getting that not-for-profit going has been a struggle, just to try to get people, small business owners working during the pandemic times, and changing rules of employment. So it's tough for these small businesses and to try to be working with this volunteer board to get some movement and some fundraising going. That's gonna be huge. It'll allow us to get some, a person in there. So the next step would be to really find a qualified and dynamic person that operates in that community and has good experience in the fundraising capacity. Because essentially now, the clock is ticking. We want to report back to the town with successes on that program, job growth and business growth. And then also, we need to establish sustainability. So those would be the two items that we will be looking for. So initially, it'll be more work out of the gate, but it's a good point for that organization to really be launched. Government affairs through the Chamber of Commerce. We're working on organizing the state of the town in the next year. And then also the Chamber is putting together a legislative directory on their website, which should be a nice amenity and a resource for the community. So I'll talk to that once it is complete. Monthly look ahead. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving next week. We have a couple days off. The office is closed on Thursday and Friday. I know a number of board members were interested in joining the Chamber holiday event. So we look forward to that. That is on December 16th. And that is the day after our December board meeting, which is December 15th. We have, I'll just jump into, another important item is the CARES funding. So in the town board meeting on this past Monday, the supervisor had the authority, was approved with the authority to sign the grant contract with the state of New York. So Mary, thank you. She's been doing a lot of work on the website. We will have, so these are grants between $5,000 and $50,000 grant monies to small businesses in the town of Hamburg. So we have $450,000 to deploy to the community and grant funds to assist small businesses through CARES. So this was really, through the cooperation with Beth Farrell and the IDA, or the Hamburg Development Corporation. So this is on us. And Mary has been, as the contract will get approved and filed with the state, then we'll have the authority to start reviewing applicants and dispersing funds. So Mary has done a nice job putting together an application, some requirements of the program. And I've already talked to about, I would say, 10 to 15 businesses that are looking and able to use this resource, which is excellent. Our goal from this point on is to distribute the entire amount to qualified businesses and, obviously get all the reporting back to the state so the program's a success. If there's demand beyond the financial resources approved by the state through HCR, then likely we could go back and look into some additional funding for it. So
What are the conditions that qualify a business for this funding?
there's several conditions. The largest of them are, it has to be a for-profit corporation. I've run into that question a couple of times. 25 employees or less. So, unfortunately, some of the larger restaurants in the area, just because of labor, they have more than 25 employees and they're ineligible. And they have also had to have a drop in 10% or more in net monthly sales for a month in the years of like March 2020 to, I believe it's like January 2021.
In any month
So
or across the
in
months?
any month.
Oh,
So
wouldn't that happen in any business
No.
naturally?
Well, from year to year.
Oh,
So
year
if
to
you're
year,
looking at, March 2020 to March 2019,
Okay.
you have to have a demonstrated drop. However, when it hit the fan in March 2020,
Right.
I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody was making that, even if you were making plexiglass, it really wasn't, the economy was just so far on the tier that you didn't have it. You have to be able to front this money. So you have to be able to make an improvement to your business and then get reimbursed. And then there's an employment requirement. So if you're looking at a $35,000 grant, you need to either hire or rehire one of your employees. If you're looking at, or a full-time equivalent. If you're looking at a $50,000 grant, you're looking at 2 full-time equivalents. So that's probably the most strenuous hurdle is that there's an employment link associated with the grant. But that's, part of, and that's very typical. The program is generally in alignment with our loan fund in these requirements, because they're requirements generally through the federal government, through HUD. And, but that would probably be the most challenging. With that, as I talk to a lot of these small businesses, they generally have open positions. It's filling the, it's the market right now that they have. And, you nod through, your work with the United Auto Workers, it's a systemic issue. So it may not be as big of a hurdle as it would seem, but we have to be, we have to identify what the rules and requirements are to these people. So, we got to hold their feet to the fire if they don't meet the requirements on the back.
There's no payback on that grant at all. It's just, after so many years, it just goes away or.
No, yeah, it just, as long as they would make the improvements to their business, they get reimbursed and that's it. So. Okay, I think. Okay. Next item on the agenda is our local labor policy update. So we've been working with the Office of the State Controller, and the office cannot express an opinion on the policy that the IDA is considering. They suggested we talk to our attorney for guidance, and then we could potentially connect with the OSC legal department and go, try to establish, is this allowable or not? And just to back up, because we've been talking about this for several months, it was if an applicant or a project operator would be seeking a local labor waiver, we would essentially, associate a funding or a penalization structure to that on a scale basis. If you're looking for an 80% waiver when our requirement is 90, it would be additional 5% agency fees. However, those agency fees would be restricted and go back into some local training fund. The one I had suggested was, like a BOCES job readiness program or something of that sort. So it's essentially languishing at this point, I think, and I don't see a responsive answer with the state controller's office. At this point, my recommendation would be, do we meet with our state representatives and present this, up through those mechanisms? I mean, in terms of my impression, I think that would be a course of action where we would get some progress. On the other side of things, I just don't know what other legislation that would bring about.
Right.
So what would be accompanied in that bill that would, yes, sir.
Attorney of this. So what happens if we instituted this because we'd be the first in line? Obviously, you have legal obligations, but it sounds pretty legal to us, everything we're trying to do. What happens if the board decided to institute that?
I think you would be fine. The general municipal law is very vague in how an agency is allowed to use funds. Very, very vague. You're allowed to use money related to your purposes. So for the past 20 years, anytime any of my IDA clients have wanted to spend money in a certain way, we've asked the ABO for an opinion. Up until this year, they would give an opinion.
Right.
We just went to the ABO for, a backup. So we would have something in our folder that said, yes, it's okay, if we were ever challenged. I think that it's reasonably related to the purposes of an IDA and that you would be okay with it.
Because
We were just
we've
looking for a
been
safety.
thinking
net.
outside the box in this whole thing and taking it on, and, there's no, going to the state leadership to me, nothing against them, I don't think they could push anything through quick enough for us. I think if we're okay with it as a board, and I don't know where we are with the board, but if we're okay with the board, I think we should take a look at it, trying to institute it, and setting the example of these, Erie County, or Erie County, we'll have to take a look at what we're doing and everything, so. But maybe we just need to take a look at this in January, fresh year, see what we can do with it. That's just my opinion.
Well, and something to what Bob just said, if you take this to, I don't even wanna say their names, any of them, the elected officials that represent us on a state level, they are going to want to legislate it to death.
Yes.
Right.
They're gonna take what we had as an idea to really help local labor and make sure that anyone who was getting an IDA incentive was following the local labor policy. And they're gonna turn it into something, a complete different monster. If there's nothing in general municipal law that prohibits us from doing this, I think we put together our policy, we institute the actions, and we deal with it. If OSC has said, we're not gonna give you an opinion, good enough.
I think
That non-opinion, put it in the file.
If
I
I,
agree.
I agree with what both of you are saying, and, when we first started talking about this, we could be a model and an example for Erie County and other IDAs. And I think what you had said, Sean, I think it sounds great, and I'm all in favor, of doing that, so. That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
What the three of you said, it makes total sense to me.
Okay.
Definitely. What do you think, Jennifer, would be any sticking point? I mean, the increased fee or where the money was going to?
Where the
end?
money's going to.
Okay, that's,
That was my,
so I think as long as,
No.
you're thinking about BOCES maybe?
Mhm.
Maybe, and we have no connection, there's nobody on this board that's sitting with BOCES or has any type.
I'm on the
you-
BOCES
you
Board of
gotta
Education.
find out. Is that, would that be a problem?
I'd have to,
you just have to disclose that.
I would have to disclose that.
Right.
To both BOCES and here.
Right.
Right.
I'm just thinking you want to
But
make
you don't,
somewhat of a
you don't
clean.
profit monetarily.
I do not,
So-
I am not paid as a member of this organization or as a member of. the
I was just thinking
Board
from
of
a
Education.
conflict point.
I'm a sucker for free jobs.
Completely
Well, thank you.
clean, that's all.
In fact,
And
it
that
probably costs
was,
you.
Cost me a lot of money.
and quite frankly, I just thought that was a good qualified I was looking for a not-for-profit organization that does employment training.
And they
So-
have the workforce development program for adults already in
Right.
place and operating.
Mhm.
And we can
And
write
they've
it
done
up.
things with
Exactly.
Tesla. What was Tesla's original?
Solar City.
Yeah, I mean, they had set up a whole thing to, train
Like a track.
employees for
Okay.
Solar City, and they do it for industry throughout.
And we would put
Erie
all of that in
County,
our
Western New
resolution to
York.
make the connection, how they're
Right.
related and how they further the IDA's
Okay.
purposes.
And they have a vehicle to sort of easily accept that money and
Oh, yeah.
appropriate it in the right way.
And with the two school boards here too, is there any way that they could have some input? Because we do send people to BOCES, right?
Yeah, I mean, we generally defer to BOCES for
Right.
this type
I'm
of
not
skill
saying
development.
branch out or anything like this, but some input from our school district to be talking about the board and see if we do put this through for that training. In other words, we need to get our kids trained. Frontier
Well,
University.
and it's not just kids. They
Yeah.
have full adults,
Hold out to,
there is
well, I think. this is
there's a
great.
full program. The workforce development program is specifically geared for adults who are in low-level jobs, who want to get into a skilled trade, who want to increase their skill set to progress into jobs that are gonna support their families and provide benefits. If you're ever out on Walden, up near Walden and Harlem, there's a plaza, and you'll see Erie One BOCES Workforce Development. They have full training programs there that are busy from morning till night. Training individuals,
We've actually used it in the past for some of our apprentice training and, welding classes from General Motors. For trades, so.
if you drive by Potter Road, Kenton or Harkness, those schools don't close down at 3:00. There's a whole nighttime program that continues for adults. And you see men and women coming from their jobs to there at night because they're just looking to move up the ladder. And that's the purpose of it.
Definitely a good idea. I mean, I think you're right. We should go ahead and come up with our own policy.
I'll put forward the
And how many
resolution to the
times are we
board
gonna
of how to
invoke
do
this
policy.
policy? How many times, the only time, because I've been on the board, was that windmill situation where it could have come up.
But it should be
I mean, it's
something
not
that
like-
happens.
Right.
We may see it again before the end of the year.
All right.
We've had it happen before.
I think, not only that, I don't see how anybody coming before this board can say, look, we're trying to penalize you, but you're using outside workforce, we're trying to support.
And you
Right.
disclose that at every step of the process, from pre-application on.
Right.
It's very
It's been
clearly
disclosed.
disclosed to everyone.
Okay, move on?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
you have your direction.
Well, you know, it's been languishing, it'll be nice to get. it
Andy's
over the
not
road.
here.
Well, you know, when you meet with your other local IDAs, you might really want to set up with workforce development, a little tour of their facilities and what they have to offer.
That's a great.
You know,
Because I
sorry,
mean, it would be great for this board to go and see. People do not understand what BOCES does. It isn't just, I mean, back in the day, what was your idea of BOCES? All you did was you sent special ed kids there. It's not like that. I mean, there's
Training. My daughter went through
there's-
BOCES, so I got that. Yes.
There's programs for kids at the highest end of the spectrum, the lowest end of the spectrum, and everything in between. I mean, our law academies and medical academy are two highly fought after programs for kids who excel in school, who know they want to go in the medical field or into law. And we're working with, you know, UB Med School and UB Law School with high school students.
Well, if we're gonna do the job development, we're gonna go that route, I think we should take it to work. Let's get familiar with what's going on, you know, and
Yeah.
I think it's gonna help us.
you know, there's a nice place in, and I know we're talking about BOCES, but there is a nice place in the city of Buffalo. It actually reused Niagara Machine and Tool Works that I toured, that, you
I can't
know,
think,
Northland Workforce.
Yeah.
Over there.
and what an
I
amazing,
can't think of her name that runs it.
I mean,
She's
you'd
awesome.
love it if you went in there.
I went, the one on, yeah, I've been through that one. There's the other one that, the North.
Northland Training
Yeah,
Center,
and
yeah.
then-
And they, well, my dad used to be employed at local 508, it was Niagara Machine and Tool Works, and they made presses for Ford, actually. It's very impressive what they got
Buffalo
going.
Employment and Training Center.
Well, no, it's there's that and the Northland
VTC.
Training, the Northland Training Center is, I mean, it's amazing what they got for the, and I hope that the children and the kids, and, you know, speaking to the school board people, they actually look at skilled trades, because, and I don't know if I mentioned this here, I think I did, but we can't find skilled trades to hire. We're actually taking trades from 897 from Ford. So we got to call out for 34 trades, and we can't find them. We get one or two a month, and then we're retiring out six a month.
I mean, a plea from the board members about not having enough skilled trades, I think is enough to move that policy ahead and it makes a lot of sense.
Germany's kicking our ass because they start their trade when they're 16 years old. End of story.
Good conversation.
Okay, no, but you know what, another takeaway is, you know, the governance committee has a meeting after this to review the UTEP that the leadership council has been working on among IDAs. I think now that that's done, it'll be wrapped up early next year. I think that's a great idea for that group to focus on workforce training and, you know, and some of the workforce shortfalls that we're experiencing.
Yeah, because there's not just BOCES, there's other organizations that we could really tap into.
Mhm. All right, next item is a recognition of service for Supervisor Jim Shaw. I have a resolution here I will go through, and then the IDA, you know, I will be in attendance, and then the board is welcome to be in attendance at the December, I believe it's 13th meeting, which is the last town board meeting of Jim's term.
What time is it in?
That would be I'll confirm it, but I believe it's December 13th at 7 o'clock. Should be a Monday.
at night, right?
Correct. No, I'll go through this quick. Whereas author John C. Maxwell said, leadership is about one life influencing another. Supervisor Shaw, you led the town of Hamburg as a role model for integrity, strength, and moral toughness. Throughout your term, regardless of political affiliation or creed, your leadership has been appreciated. And whereas through your role as liaison of the Hamburg IDA, we supported the agency through a difficult time with the untimely passing of our director, Mike Bartlett. As we navigated through a new era with new staff and an ever-changing economic issues, legislative landscape, and even a global pandemic, your unwavering support enabled the agency board to cultivate a prosperous investment environment in Hamburg. And whereas through your support, we have cultivated over $100 million of economic development in Hamburg, hundreds of jobs, and our members had secured the agency's position as one of the preeminent economic development organizations in New York State. Through enhancing the industrial and commercial investments in Hamburg, you have been able to hold the line on town taxes for Hamburg residents and continue to move our community forward in every positive direction. Now, therefore, Jim, we are so thankful for your service to our town and for your support of economic development of Hamburg. As a small token of gratitude, we are funding sponsorship to Feed More Hamburg in your honor, a sincere gesture of our heartfelt thanks for all you do in Hamburg. Congratulations, Supervisor Shaw. So moved. Thank you, Wentz.
Second.
Unanimous second?
Yes, sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that. As always, he doesn't appreciate the secretary.
It's kind of a long day.
But, no, I
Get to court by 10.
Well, court's via Zoom these days, so.
He's been a great supporter, as you know me, being very green, getting into this role a couple of years ago. He's given me a lot of help and support. The Amazon project, it wouldn't have gone, I don't think, without his support and encouragement and advice. Learning a lot about politics and how municipal governments operate. I owe him a lot of gratitude. Next item, Key Capture Energy Name Change Resolution. This is a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency authorizing Key Capture Energy to construct and install a 20 megawatt utility servicing battery energy storage facility for wholesale electric markets at 2026 Electric Avenue in the Village of Blaisdell as agent for the agency for lease to the agency and subsequent lease back to the lessee and to take other action. Key Capture Energy LLC has entered into negotiations with officials of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency with respect to the construction and installation of a 20 megawatt utility servicing battery energy storage facility for wholesale electric markets. Whereas the agency induced the project on September 10th, 2021, and whereas the lessee has asked to substitute a related energy, KCE NY6 LLC, as the lessee to receive the same benefits as approved. Now, therefore, the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency hereby resolves as follows. Section 1, the agency hereby consents to the assignment of approved benefits from Key Capture Energy, LLC to KCE NY6 LLC. Section 2, the agency hereby consents that KCE NY6 LLC is now the lessee. Section 3, this resolution shall take effect immediately.
So moved.
Thank you, Cam.
Second.
Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Carried. Next item is an inducement resolution for RPJ Holdings Incorporated. This is a resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency authorizing RPJ Holdings, Inc., the lessee, to construct, and install and equip an approximately 17,490 square foot brewing and distilling facility at 0 Lakeshore Road, Town of Hamburg, as agent for the agency, for lease to the agency and subsequent lease back to the lessee, and further sublease to Johnson's Tap House Incorporated or a related entity and to take other action. Whereas RPJ Holdings, Inc., has entered into negotiations with the officials of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency with respect to construction, installation, and equipping of an approximately 17,490 square foot brewing and distilling facility at 0 Lakeshore Road in the Town of Hamburg for lease to the agency and subsequent lease back to the lessee and further sublease to Johnson's Tap House Inc. Whereas the assistance contemplated by the agency will include mortgage tax abatement, sales tax exemption on any materials and or equipment purchased for incorporation into the project, and real property tax abatement in accordance with existing uniform tax exemption policy and guidelines. And whereas the agency has, after giving all required notices, held a public hearing on the project pursuant to section 859-A of general municipal law, and whereas the eligibility questionnaire sets forth certain information with respect to the lessee, including the following: that the lessee desires agency assistance with respect to the construction, installation, and equipping of this approximately 17,490 square foot brewing and distilling facility. And if assistance is granted, the sublessee anticipates retaining 30 FTE full-time employees and hiring another FTE full-time equivalent employees at the project location in the Town of Hamburg within 2 years following the completion of the project. The project will result in substantial capital investment, and there will be no adverse disruption of existing employment at facilities of a similar nature in the Town of Hamburg. If agency assistance is disapproved, the lessee would have to scale back the project, negatively impacting future growth in New York. And therefore, agency assistance is necessary to encourage the lessee and sublessee to proceed with the project in the Town of Hamburg. Now, therefore, the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency hereby resolves as follows. The agency determines that the acquisition, construction, equipping, and installation of the project and the financing or other assistance thereof by the agency pursuant to the New York State Industrial Development Agency Act will promote and is authorized by and will be in furtherance of the policy of the state as set forth in said act. The chairman, vice chairman, executive director, secretary, and assistant secretary of the agency and other appropriate officials of the agency and its agents and employees are hereby authorized and directed to take whatever steps may be necessary to cooperate with the lessee and sublessee to assist in the acquisition, construction, equipping, and installation of the project. The lessee is authorized to initiate the construction of the approximately 17,490 square foot brewing and distilling facility in the Town of Hamburg for lease to the agency and subsequent lease back to the lessee, and further sublease to the lessee at a total project cost not to exceed $4,080,000, subject to the obtaining of all required approvals from the Town of Hamburg and other involved government agencies, and to advance such funds as may be necessary to accomplish such purposes. The lessee and sublessee are authorized to make purchases of goods and services relating to the project that would otherwise be subject to New York State and local sales and use tax in an amount up to $2.5 million, which may result in New York State and local sales tax exemption benefits not to exceed $218,000 or $218,750. The agency hereby authorizes and approves real property tax abatement benefits structured through a 10-year pilot estimated to provide $300,420.57 in real property tax abatement benefits and resulting in an estimated local payments in lieu of taxes in the amount of $81,985.22 over the term of the pilot agreement. The agency hereby authorizes and approves that the value of the mortgage to be placed upon the facility shall not exceed $4 million and that the mortgage tax exemption benefit shall not exceed $30,000. The execution and delivery of a mortgage from the agency and the lessee to a lender selected by the lessee and approved by the chairman in an amount not to exceed $4 million and other ancillary documents if required, which mortgage and ancillary documents shall be substantially in the form approved by the agency. The provisions of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency policy for recapture or termination or modification of financial assistance and local labor policy shall be applicable to this project. The resolution shall take effect immediately and continue in full force and effect from 1 year of the date hereof. Adopted November 17th, 2021.
So moved.
Thank you, Janet.
Second.
Thank you, Davis. On the question.
I think it's gonna be a great project for the area and the development of that area along the waterfront in Route 5. I'm in full support of it.
It was an excellent public hearing that we had, our questions we answered, so we're on full.
Any other questions? I'll do a roll call vote. We'll go around starting with Bob Hutchison,
Aye.
Wentz Valentin,
In favor?
Cam Hall,
Aye.
Davis Kulski,
Aye.
Janet Clark,
Aye.
Bob Reynolds.
Aye.
Tom Moses.
Aye.
All in favor, the resolution is carried. Thank you.
You gotta get us to the ribbon cutting on that one, Sean.
Taste testing.
Here's another one. He's got another assignment.
Another assignment. That's an easy one, because I'll be there too. Okay, this next item is a pension payment resolution of the Town of Hamburg Industrial Development Agency authorizing pension payments as reflected in the attached memo as per the employee contract agreement. So this is reflected in the line with our employment agreements. Doyle payment including FICA, $3,715. Door total payment including FICA, $1,265, and these payments are to be included on the December 6th, 2021 payroll. So moved.
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Any call for executive session? Motion to adjourn the November 17th HIDA Board of Directors meeting at 8:17 a.m. Thank you, Mayor.
Second.
Thank you, Cam. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Meeting is closed.